Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Professor Joy podcast. We are brimming with guests today, Professor Joy.
Thank you. Who is today?
Yes. Would you like to do, I know we, okay. John, how are you, John?
Yeah. John, are you there? No.
John is missing in action, but Steffi is here. Steffi.
Oh, he is there.
Oh, he is here.
So John Klein is with us, and he's a strategist for Joy School.
Excellent.
And then we have...
And then I was hoping you would
Dr.
introduce...
LaFreniere. She's a psychiatrist and practices in Newport Beach. And we had met a couple of weeks ago, and I was really impressed with possible alliances we could have with Joy School. And then we have Stephanie Slaughtergraph. She likes to be called Steffi.
And we're always happy to have her.
Yes.
Always. And I'm Gary Metzger. I am a journalism professor at California State University, Long Beach.
Thank you.
So today's topic is an interesting one. For those of us who live in Southern California, we pretty much live in our cars. We are really a car culture. We spend a ton of time in our cars, and sometimes we're not in the best moods when we get into our cars. People get cut off. We hear lots of stories about road rage, and there's a lot of studies that are coming out now that that say that it is not an exaggeration that the behavior on the road today is the worst that's ever been seen. The New York Times Magazine just came out with an article about how dangerous it is to be on the road nowadays. There was a spike in car traffic in the early decades of the 20th century as cities were overrun by untrained drivers.
Oh, really?
Yes. Then the second spike came when the interstate highways were built. And when
so historically, that's like
historically, yes,
yeah.
And how when muscle cars, like the Ford Mustang, came out, and the GTO, and things like that, and the Dodge Charger came out, and then and in fact, in 1966 alone, Professor Joy, the traffic death toll in the United States hit 50,894.
Wow.
More than the number of American troops killed in combat during the entire Vietnam War.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Hearings historically have been held. 1966, the National Traffic and Motor Vehicle Safety Act came out that finally put the responsibility of safety onto the manufacturers, because before that they didn't care a whit.
So manufacturers became responsible
for the safety of people driving in their cars.
Oh,
that's probably around when seatbelts started appearing in cars. An annual survey by the American Psychological Association called Stress in America was recently released. 34% confidence in which the country is. Said they had anxiety lives about the future. So, Doc, I'd like to start something.
There's been a huge spike in mental health symptoms and complaints, depression, and anxiety. Certainly, I think forced isolation of on a global scale definitely contributed, but also the interconnectedness that we have now in terms of social media and the internet. It's hard to put down your phones. It's hard to step away from constant blasts of negativity when you at your fingertips are aware of things going on, bad things going on constantly. So I think that's contributing as well to the spikes in depression and anxiety that as a culture we're seeing.
Right.
So social media, and we've talked about social media.
Yes, we have.
It is today one of the most potent element in anxiety and depression, is it?
I would agree it's one of the most, yeah.
So now when you were talking about the safety and people cutting off and all that, you know that engaged in which is maths, have 400 and majority of so Matt said, look, I have 30% turnover and it's costing me $1.5 million a year. And if you can help me save and bring it down from 30 to, let's say, 15%, that'd be $750,000. I'll give it to you, because I'm saving that money.
Right.
Us. So I met with their HR manager. I said, why are you guys having such a high turnover? And she said, it's stress. I said, where does the stress come from? Driving is, I drive all the time. I'm not stressed.
Right.
He said, no. When you're driving and that's your work, you're on the road all day. And like you said, people cut off and they show you middle finger and all kinds of stuff, and it is very stressful. So I taught his employees 4-7-8 meditation, which is breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 7, breathe out for 8. I said, do it 3 times before you start your day. And any time during the middle of the day you're stressed, do it. And before you go. In months, his work was transformed. They're comfortable, and they even took Joy Score and introduced it to their family. So this was the sort of designed outcome. They introduced Joy Score to the family. Matt said the biggest impact in their good about the company, because they felt the wellness of the family. That meant more money they were making.
Right.
So,
right. This commission will go Ryan Martin, quote, all these emotions, they have to go somewhere. And more often than not, they find that the outlet for this emotion is the car.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
It's, yeah. There's your mood when you enter the car. Let's say that you're in a rush, you're running late, and you get into your car and you have to be somewhere at a certain time. And so you're rushed, so you're going to go faster, you're going to cut people off, you're going to go lane change, cravey, things like that.
But it all depends on how yourself behave and control yourself, because
exactly.
I hate driving with my wife, because she curses, yells, and shouts, and I said, come on, people are going to be, that's how they drive, you don't have to take everything personally. It really doesn't bother me. Right. People cut me off, do all kinds of stuff, I stay calm.
Do you notice when you're running late, you hit every red light and every slow driver?
That's the psychology. You don't actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you don't. You feel that way.
Okay.
There's something called perception is reality. and I've been talking about it to my classes forever. If you have a perception that every time you're running late, you're going to hit traffic lights, that's what you're going to see.
Yeah.
It's not, whether it's reality or not, that's the perception. And to a human mind, perception is the reality.
Yeah.
Dr. Stephanie, do you have any anecdotes that align with this?
Well, I was just thinking about, I actually talk to people about anger and road rage as well. That's a very common complaint that a lot of people have, that where their anger and anxiety can manifest when they come to talk to me. And I think a part of that is when you're feeling anxious or under a lot of stress, right, from all these other factors, and you get in your car, your nervous system is already engaged, right? It's already hyperactivated in that fight or flight mode. So it's very easy to perceive any subtle thing as done to you as a threat, right? Somebody cutting you off, somebody, giving you the bird, things like that. So it's easy to just engage in that nervous system response in terms of being angry and the road rage and things like that. The other thing that came to mind is also kind of the depersonalization of being in the car, where when you're face to face with somebody, a lot of people won't engage in confrontation or avoidance behaviors or things like that. But when you're in the car, it's very easy to depersonalize that. That's not a person. Again, that's a threat. You're not really seeing them as another human and understanding them, whatever. They've got their own issues, let it go, right?
Right.
You can easily just engage. And again, I think that's that link with social media too, right? There's that barrier of the screens, so it's a lot easier to make, where people making toxic comments and things like that, right? It's breaking down some of those natural social barriers that you would find in face-to-face interactions. And so I think that's what came to mind for me, like those links with in the car and social media.
I was talking to Ann Welty, who's also one of the psychiatrists on our board, and I was asking her, I said, Ann, what if before you get on the road, especially like someone like my wife who's always out of control, what if I give her there's something called ashwagandha. It is used to relax people. I said, what if I give her one of those before she gets on the road?
What did Ann say?
Would it work?
Maybe. Or magnesium. Magnesium. Mm-hmm.
Magnesium, and I think she mentioned something also, D3?
Vitamin D?
Yeah. Would that also help?
I don't know that vitamin D would help in the
but magnesium works? Magnesium and ashwagandha. So these are the two things which are common and they're over-the-counter stuff, and they're not habit-forming either from what I know.
But it would be better for him just to go to the Joy Score app.
Yeah, there you go.
Right?
Then
why use medicine? Just go to the app. Just do the breathing. Exactly.
That's it.
Exactly.
You don't need
it works for truck drivers. It would work for...
Absolutely.
So anyway, this University of Wisconsin professor theorizes that drivers will adjust the scale of their response based on the offending vehicle or the person inside of the vehicle. So if you see somebody who's very big and rough looking and everything, you may not be so quick to give them the middle finger. Exactly. Or if a minivan with parents and kids in it, you may let them merge into a lane rather than not let them get in at all and everything.
Are you serious?
I am absolutely serious. Yep. Or how about this? Let's say it's a big truck and you're progressive, Martin said. You might think, I bet that person's conservative. You may or may not be right, but it's what you'll use for your appraisal of the situation.
I mean, we're doing that constantly.
Yes.
And out of the car.
Yeah.
We're taking our assumptions and stereotypes and cultural, societal norms and kind of implanting them to help us make decisions.
That is true everywhere, not just driving. Like if you're in a grocery store in the line or something, your behavior gets adjusted depending on who.
You are absolutely right. You know what? That happened to me on Friday when I was in Costco. And I was trying to maneuver through an aisle and somebody had stopped and they were looking at a series of stuff and everything. It was like, come on already. So yeah, it isn't just in the car. It's in the doggone Costco.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah. So this article says that the problem in the United States is we are all baseline angry and anxious, and we're in a car all the time. And because we're not, at least in our area, yes, we have public transportation, but it's not the best.
I know, but that's making Americans like stereotypes, which is not true. I mean, not everybody's like that.
Well, not everybody, no. No. But traffic is up across the country, and the duration of our average one-way commute, which recently topped 27 minutes, is the longest in our history. Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You know, traffic is one of the stressors from what I've heard. In fact, we had a podcast, and our cardiologist is Stuart Fisher. And the podcast we had with him, he talks about stress because in his field, stress causes most of the heart problems. His opinion is if you can bring your stress down, you're going to bring your heart disease down. I mean, simply as it applies to you. And then we have this guy who's been writing a lot of books on intellectuality of stress and health, and Deepak Chopra. And he was talking about that if people can do three things, in fact, he told one of his patients to do this. He said, listen, son, I mean, his son's age, his son, if you can do these three things, you know, I can get rid of these 6 medications I'm prescribing you. It's going to bring your stress level down. He said, like what? He said, number one, if you can just start eating better, you know, rather than junk food that you eat. And I didn't know that all these things had direct impact on your stress level. Eating better, stop smoking, and start exercising. He said, if you do these 3 things, it's going to bring your stress level down, and I don't need most of these medications. And he said, Doc, come on, man. My mother-in-law tells me the same thing. She doesn't charge me $100. So, you know, this is how people think, you know, sometimes. And you're a doctor, you should deal with people all the time.
You know, it amazes me that, well, not amazes me, I guess, but it's still very interesting to me that, you know, we're in a state where, you know, you're not supposed to drive and hold your phone. And still many people. And that started in 2007. The state of Washington was the first to ban texting while driving. As late as last year, 49 states had adopted similar laws, but more than 32,000 Americans were killed in wrecks caused by distracted driving.
Absolutely.
But you know what? I would posit, I can use the word posit, I'm a professor. I would posit to you that distracted driving started back in the 1930s or 40s when they first introduced the radio to the car.
No, the distracted driving started when people started driving. Because people, you know, I can't remember which, this BMW Z8 when I bought in 2003, you know, 186,000 brand new, and it didn't have any coffee cup holders. I said, guys, it doesn't have any cup holder. You see, when you're supposed to drive this car, you're not supposed to drink coffee. You're doing 200 miles an hour, you're not going to drink coffee.
That's probably true. Oh my God.
So the coffee drinking, eating culture in car is not for car enthusiasts.
No. Another point this article brought up was the use of cameras, speed cameras, and running red light cameras. Yeah. And I know that here where we do this podcast, everybody, we're in the city of Long Beach. They're reinstituting red light cameras.
Again? Because they were put on and taken out.
They were, and they're
because I heard there's something, some legality which makes it harder for them to.
I guess they must have found a loophole or something to bring it back. But I just wanted to finish up with these little interesting statistics and everything. For the last 15 years, the AAA, which used to be known as the American Automobile Club, and now the AAA Foundation for Traffic Safety, they published a traffic safety culture index. And 2,500 people took part in this survey. 2,500 licensed drivers. 22% admitted to switching lanes at high speeds or tailgating. 25% admitted to running a red light. And I have seen that like 4 or 5 times recently where people will just run the red light. 40% admitted to holding an active phone while driving. And 50% admitted to exceeding posted speed limits by 15 miles per hour or more.
Well, it's just common, you know.
And worse, a sizable number of respondents said they knew that people important to them would somewhat or completely disapprove of much of the behavior, and they did it anyway.
So, and you know, people have been doing it because, have you ever taken a traffic school?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
You know, it was eye-opening for me. When you sit in that class for 8 hours, you have to listen to all the stuff we do.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of, you hear it and the instructor talks about it and you say, you know, I do all that.
Yeah, it is. But, you know, the fun, just to kind of loop this around again, I think, you know, if people would not, you know, use medicines but would use breathing techniques, would come to our app and learn and study from what we have there, I think we would help to contribute to a more calmer driving society.
In my experience now, we have breathing and meditation and all kinds of stuff. We have about 1,000 pieces of content which can help you in different ways of your life. But this breathing is the most amazing thing it does to your physiological state of mind. Because I truly could see these people in Matt's company when they did the breathing for 3 times. You could see their facial expression changing. And you know, in our app, you can go back and check your joy score at any given time and check your facial expression at any given time, you know, things like that. And people were amazed. It really helped them.
It really does. Yeah. It does. Dr. Stephanie, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
I hope we'll see more of you.
I will be here as often as I can.
Okay. Professor Joy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steffi.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. We will see you next week for another edition of the Professor Joy Podcast.
Beautiful. Thank you.